Right, thank you and welcome. And sorry for the delay, we've just had a couple of technical issues, but we're all fine now. Welcome to everyone here in the gallery and to those listening online. My name's Helen Hennessy and I'll be chairing this meeting. First of all, though, we'd like to acknowledge that the land we meet on today is the traditional lands of the Kaurna people and that we respect their spiritual relationship to their country. We also acknowledge the Kaurna people as the custodians of the Greater Adelaide region and that their cultural and heritage beliefs are still as important to the living Kaurna people today. Roll call, we have some apologies. We have apologies from Deputy Mayor Shanks, from Councillor Lorna, Councillor White and Councillor Solomon. Other than that, everyone here is in attendance and we have a quorum. Motions to grant leave of absence, please. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. I have three motions. I'll start with one of them. Councillor White, 12th to the 14th of September inclusive. I've moved that
You've moved that, thank you, Mayor, and seconder from Councillor Davies. Thank you very much. Everyone can indicate, thank you.
You're voting, Brian?
Councillor Samble, thank you. An unanimous decision on that one, thank you.
So I'll keep going.
Yes, please.
If that's okay. Councillor Lorna.
Hang on just a minute, we'll wait for the minute taker if we can. So moved by the Mayor, seconded by Councillor Davies. And the dates were, could you just remind the dates?
12th to the 14th of September inclusive. 12th to the 14th of September inclusive.
Thank you, Mayor.
14th.
Yep.
2023. Thank you.
Okay, yes. Now the second one, please.
Councillor Lorna, 10th to the 17th of September inclusive. I've moved that way.
Moved there, again seconded by Councillor Davies.
So that's the 10th of the 17th of September inclusive.
And everyone could indicate by raising hands or otherwise. Thank you, carried unanimously. We'll just wait. Councillor Davies again was the seconder. Okay, and the third leave of absence?
Thank you. Councillor Solomon, 12th to the 27th of September, inclusive. I've moved that way.
And again, moved by the Mayor, seconded by Councillor Davies. Please indicate your votes. Carried unanimously. Thank you very much for that.
Just make sure they've got the right.
Yep, sure.
So they haven't... Okay. So it's 12th to the 27th of September 2023.
Lovely. Okay, so we've got those sorted out.
Yeah.
There are no existing leaves of absence on the table and we have no non-attendance at the moment. Okay, I have not been notified of any people intending to make a presentation through the public open forum. Is that correct? Thank you. Do we have any declarations of interest for tonight's meeting, please? Nope. Okay, we shall move on. I'm looking for confirmation of the minutes of the 11th of July. The Mayor's happy to move it. Do I have a seconder for that? Councillor Hughes, thank you very much. Any discussion about that? No, if not, can you please vote? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Okay, do we have any business arising from those minutes? Then being none. Right, I have a request, members, that we now change the order of tonight's meeting and that I'm looking for a motion perhaps to move the information report 8.1 forward so we can discuss that. The Mayor's happy to move it. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Samble. Is everyone able to vote their agreement to that? Yes, thank you. Okay, we shall allow that. And we've got Bryce moving to the lectern. The other matter that I have been requested is that we move out of meeting procedure to allow a general discussion to happen. I need a show of hands if people are happy to do that. We have it. And yes, we will now pause the meeting procedure to allow a general discussion. Thank you. Bryce.
Thank you, Councillor Hennessy, and thank you for the opportunity to bring forward the matter here and have an open and frank discussion that will, I think, really assist in this matter here. This is a discussion to really introduce and kickstart the Elliott Goodger Memorial Park Master Plan. It's a project that has been on the horizon for a little time now within the community. The stakeholders are very interested. We have representative from the Williston Football Club here tonight. There's been a lot of conversations already between staff and the community as well in regards to this project, and really now looking to commence the process of inclusively developing that master plan for the stakeholders there and the community at broad. So tonight's report, it's fairly straightforward in terms of introducing the consultancy team to council tonight. The consultancy team, very experienced. Also, I've done work with the Gawler Council previously, very successfully, so really keen to have them on board again and work together with them. They'll be talking through a bit of an initial site assessment, some of the constraints, opportunities for the site, looking in terms of really tonight getting some information sought from members in regards to the site itself and what sort of the priorities are going forward for this project. And with that, that's enough for me. I'll hand over to Amy and Kelly to present.
Thank you. Yes, Mayor? Oh, hang on just a minute. Let me get you to... do I need to switch the other one off and you on? Is that how... Yes, there you go, Mayor.
Thank you.
Just pausing.
I received a phone call from Mr Phil Day, who's a long-term Williston football player. His mother is the daughter of Elliott Goodger, and he was really excited to hear that this is happening, and he wanted to be involved. And he in fact wanted to know if there'd be a launch or something, because there's still family living in Gawler, and he was a very celebrated footballer with Williston Football Club, and he was so excited. And he was very congratulatory. He provided congratulations to the council on behalf of his family, to say that this is why they called it after Elliott Goodger. So he's very proud, very excited about what's happening here at this master plan, and he's really looking forward to seeing what the outcomes will be. I just thought I'd mention that.
No, thank you. And I think that's a great way to start, and I'm sure staff and the consultants will perhaps follow through with that so that the family can be involved. Now, over to you, please. I need to... Right, okay, just let me see.
Is that working? Yep.
That is working. Off you go.
Okay. All right, so yeah, thanks Bryce for that intro. So yeah, what we'll be covering tonight, as Bryce said, we've only just been engaged, so we were out on site only last week, and what we'll go through with you tonight are really just our first impressions, and we'll hand over to you at a certain point to also get your thoughts and on how we might direct this master plan. And so this is really early engagement, which is exciting for this project. So just a little bit of, I guess, project background further, talking further onto what Bryce was mentioning. It's a highly utilised and significant regional site, regional community precinct. So the master plan has been launched, I guess, to meet the needs of the sporting and recreational users of the site, and due to the fact that the facilities have been seen as ageing, the infrastructure is ageing, there is definitely a need there to have consultants on board to come up with a solution that we say a collective planning solution, so we can talk to the community, talk to the site users and achieve the best outcome for this site. So we've just captured a bit of a broader location and context plan here where it sits to the, hang on, is that right? I can't use my cursor. No, it's not working. The northern side of Gawler, near to the Light Regional Council region. So it's sort of sitting collectively with the Carpathian Reserve, Essex Park sports regional parks. And so what we know so far, so as I said, we went out on site last week. We did a bit of our initial analysis. Actually, I might, because I can't actually read that from here. So this one really is just capturing the site user locations. So you can see from the map there that the site is definitely maximised in terms of usage. There are a number of users, so the Gawler BMX Club there is in the yellow. We've got the Gawler Scouts in the red, in that northern pocket of the site. The Gawler Dog Training Club is in the pink. We've got Gawler Rotary Club and the Rotary Club of Gawler Light in the orange and light orange there. And that's sitting adjacent to the purple, which is the 608 Squadron and Air Force Cadets. We've also then got the Williston Football Club and Cricket Club, which is the darker purple blue colour, which makes up that southern portion of the site, and then the light blue is the Netball Club, sitting up to the north of the car park. And we are also, as part of this project, considering the connection to the Williston Community Hub, which is to the northeast of the site, northwest of the site. And so what we've captured there already is early conversations about potentially a future SES location to the north of that triangle, and then as well considering that there's 3 key users on that site, and potentially how there's opportunities to best work together in terms of two neighbouring sites. What we've also captured on this image is some of those key vehicular entry locations, as well as pedestrian locations. So the next slide then as well, we've just got some site images, looking at BMX, car park, as well as the netball courts and some of the other spaces surrounding that. But we've also then captured community use and passive recreation and play. So as well as it being a site used by sports users and predominantly sports, it is also a recreation space for surrounding residents and community. And so we've captured that in terms of the usage there with the community building. We know that it's a hireable space for bingo nights, etc. There's also dog walking on site, and from what I understand, and we can talk about this further tonight, the dog training facility I think welcomes dog walkers as well to that space. There's a playground on site, as well as a pump track adjacent, which are quite good facilities. And then we're picking up those pedestrian entries which relate to those spaces as well. And there's some of the key images. You've got the pump track for community use and the playground there, as well as open green space for walking and connections surrounding that. And then we've had just, again, our first impressions, a bit of a site analysis or a site overview of key movement trends that we've considered. So we've again picked up those entries. We've got a question mark on cycling. There's obviously, we haven't noted any bike racks, and whether or not that's an opportunity or if there's an interest there that is a requirement for the future planning. That's up for discussion. We've noted so movement in that top left-hand corner, where in the orange the movement is vehicular, so we've got the car parking around the oval, which is important to the footy club, and then that vehicular movement through the site to the car park in the centre of the site, and also trying to capture the pedestrian movement through there too, so linking in those pedestrian entries and how they navigate through the site and surrounding the site. We're capturing infrastructure as well, so in the blue, so this is the top right, the blue we're mapping fencing, so it does need to be a fenced site. It's a ticketed ground for footy, which we're capturing there, and then also due to the fact that we have quite a lot of leaseholders of this site, they've all got their fenced portions, so that's something to consider with the wider master planning thinking. Vegetation's another one, and the topography of the site, so the bottom left-hand corner there, we're capturing some arrows, and just to show that there's a level change or grades that we also need to be conscious of when thinking of how the site is operating. And there's some kind of different characters, such as, I would call it a bushland character, which is more of that native tree planting type character, which is also something to consider with this thinking, and if it's something that we need to keep as part of the character of the site. And then obviously that land use where we've got potentially that community recreation and sports leaseholder usage as well, and how that overlaps and works together. I'll hand over to Kelly now. She'll talk through some compliance.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry. So just, it's really important when we do these master plans that we are designing them to the relevant standards of those sports. So when we look at the site, we have undertaken an audit, and that audit is an online tool that our company has developed based on guideline recommendations and provision. So with this master plan, we've looked at the AFL, cricket, netball and BMX facilities. So when we're doing these, we really need to make sure that they're up to standard, so that when council and the clubs go for funding and those types of things, they can tick the box to say they are compliant, and it just makes and ensures that they're fit for purpose and they're really future-proofed on that. So based on, you're not going to see that table probably from back here, but based on that, we have audited a range of different elements. So that ranges from the playing surfaces through to the club rooms, through to the change rooms, cricket nets, netball courts, those types of things. So we've looked at their surface condition, the size of them, the required runoff, and then the surface, any condition auditing, and condition ratings and those types of things. So the green denotes that, you know, it's meeting that facility requirement, and there's really no gap in that provision. The orange is kind of, it's partially met. It could be in a good condition, but it might not be met in terms of the right size and those types of things. So there is that gap, and the red is really saying that it's either undersized or it's not meeting a need for the community in terms of especially, I guess, change rooms, so they're not unisex provision and those types of things. So as you can see, there's a bit of a mixture on this site. So surface and playing areas for the football and cricket oval are generally really well looked after. Where we get to kind of some of that orange are around some of those spectator amenities, although they're good, they are ageing and things could be improved, as well as some of those kitchen admin areas are probably a little undersized, but are still in quite good condition. In terms of change rooms, the change rooms don't meet standard currently because they are open showers, or they look in quite good condition. They are open showers, so they're not unisex provision. So we need to have all of our change rooms these days for gender neutral. So that includes lockable showers, lockable cubicles, so individual, so you can walk in, close the door behind you, you can shower and change in that one area. That just really helps for programming, flexible use, whether it's juniors, whether it's females, whether it's males. So these days all change rooms should be of unisex standard regardless if male or female are playing at the site. Some of the other things are just undersized areas included in those areas. So as part of this master plan, that audit has been undertaken, and then when we develop the master plan further, we'll look at when we're building new things, making sure they're up to standard. As well as that, we looked at cricket practice nets as well, although the synthetic is in good condition, the base is obviously deteriorating underneath, and the nets and fencing are in quite a poor condition as well. So they're just some photos that we took as part of the audit process. And yeah, you can see some of those issues with the change rooms and those types of things.
So then in summary, we've just put together some high-level site constraints and opportunities. These can be added to tonight, or we can discuss these further if you disagree with anything. But we saw some of the site constraints being the earth mound and level change. You can see that big orange band around the northern side of the oval. Potentially could be a site constraint when thinking of how we might plan best for the future of the site. And it does seem to dissect the usage of the site being more of a bottom zone and a top zone. And then I guess that leads on to potentially that a dissect between the club rooms, the community club room use, and the football oval and cricket oval usage. We've also mentioned that the fenced zones breaks up the space currently and could be rethought. What else am I saying? Yeah, so some areas are underutilised just due to topography. So what we're mentioning there is also on the other side near the Scouts. There is also that area which grades down to the Scout Hall, which potentially could have, we could rethink on how that could be better utilised. There's other opportunities though within the site. It is on the southern side of this site, it is an industrial zone, which is potentially a good thing in terms of noise and light spill. It doesn't affect that residential location. It's adjacent to a green corridor, which at the moment is underutilised and potentially could have opportunities for future use. There's an opportunity to rethink the building locations and whether or not there's an opportunity for consolidation to best suit the site users and site. There's also a detention basin in the southern corner of the site. That could be also rethought to give more land back to the users and just more opportunity for better utilisation of that corner. We could rethink the cricket nets as well, and whether or not that's the best location. That's all up for grabs and discussion. And also traffic and parking could also be an opportunity to rethink the best locations and usage of that as well. So again, all up for discussion, really just our first impressions, and what we'd like to get from you all now is your thoughts. So we've got some prompts as well that we'd like to open to all of you. We've called them key questions, and I think you may have had these in your handout last week. So the first one is what are the positives of the site? What do you believe works well?
Thank you for your presentation, but we've only just received this tonight, so...
Oh, sorry.
It's
apologies.
okay. We'll catch up with that, but I'm going to turn your microphone off while I let other people, and we'll have to just do a bit of a shuffle. So I think I saw Councillor Kosh. Your input, please.
I'm just looking at this diagram, the opportunities. Would there be is there any space on the area to put a second smaller oval for junior cricket? Because a lot of ovals I see now have a separate junior oval. So is there any opportunity there?
No, thank you, yes.
Yes, that's okay. I don't know, Kel, if you want to talk to this, but it's something that, as part of this process, we will be looking at. Yeah.
I think, it's certainly a key issue that we saw on site as well, and whether or not it can be put somewhere that could be a multi-purpose kind of space that could be used for, junior football, junior cricket, warm-up area, and those types of things. So we've just got to, I guess the topography of the site kind of lends itself to that, and just make sure that it can fit to kind of that standard that we'd like.
Thank you. Mayor, were you next, I think? Oh, okay. Councillor Davies. Now have I got... That's it? No? Yes.
There we go.
There you go.
So I guess in terms of the compliance review, it covered a bunch of things. I guess the spectator area is not a compliance issue, but is that something that is being looked at in terms of improvements?
Absolutely. That's kind of looking at from, although you've probably got the required square metre rate in for spectator area, it's just about that spectator experience and how we can better that. And that, I guess, that disconnect between club room and canteen and those areas. So we'll look at that from a spectator usability point of view.
Mayor.
Thank you. I'm looking at the earth mound. Are you suggesting getting rid of the earth mound? Because I think that would be problematic. Is that what you're suggesting?
Oh, no. Yeah.
There we go.
No, we're not suggesting anything yet. So we haven't even gone that far. This is really just the starting point. We're saying that earth mound potentially could be a constraint. I mean, there may be positives as well out of that. It'd be great to talk to. We haven't talked to the site users yet, so we're still gathering a lot of information about this site. So, yeah, nothing's thought further.
I like the idea of getting rid of fences. It does rely on user groups understanding their area, their leased area, but fences actually provide obstructions and doesn't allow flow through of many of the communities. So I really do like the idea of getting rid of fences. I think you need a perimeter fence. You need it somehow contained on football days. But I think that it would be really good to actually look at this top area where the Rotary clubs and the Air Cadets, etc. are, and see if you can actually get rid of fences, because I think it just creates a really nice, a better view, and you can if you have a solid user group discussion, you can understand where their leased area starts and finishes. So yeah, fences can be quite obstructive. Yeah, but I'm glad you're not getting rid of the mound, because I think that that would be problematic in my view.
Councillor Hughes.
Thanks very much for the presentation and the opportunity. I think what works really well with the site is all the different users, and there seems to be buffers for the different users. And I mean, I think the native vegetation, green spaces, some of that could be improved. And there's definitely a huge opportunity to probably get more use of the space, because there's so much space there, and to whether there can be dual use of some areas for car parking and things like that with the different levels. And I think the levels can be used to advantage, but it'll be a bit of work to try and not get the budgets to do that blown out. I do like the native vegetation buffers and the green spaces, and I think it also needs to be open to the public, because sometimes it is quite closed to the public, and like the Oval, we do put a lot of resources into making sure the Oval is in top condition. But yeah, we also want the community to use the space, and there's lots of users there, which is great. But yeah, just how we sort of utilise it to get the most out of the space, because it is a humongous area, and a lot of it isn't really usable a lot of the time either. So it's going to be quite challenging, but quite a really good opportunity. So I think it's really good to do this, and yeah, some of the facilities really need a major overhaul. So yeah, a lot of opportunities there, and I think once we've got this plan, we will be able to get grants and get some things happening here. But it's a fantastic site to work on. So no, it's good.
Thank you, Councillor Koch.
Thanks, Chair. Just looking at the audit report here, you didn't mention the BMX. Is there a reason behind that? On that one?
It's okay. Yep, there we go.
BMX don't have the compliance that other sports do. They have obviously an overlay, but they're kind of a bit more of a nice to do rather than a full-blown compliance. So we'll include that a bit later on. This, I guess, is just generally quite a hard audit based on numbers and guidelines that have been given.
Yep, continue.
I'm involved a little bit with the BMX. I'm their ambassador, of all things. And the track, they've upgraded their track over the recent years and the lights, but their facilities are pretty ordinary, like the canteen and the nom shed's pretty ordinary. So I'm surprised that wasn't in here. That was all.
Thank you.
Say that, they've been noted. I guess they're just not from a compliance point of view. But absolutely, the track's really good, but all the those off-track amenities, there's a really big gap in there.
Lovely. From my point of view, I've used it. I used to live relatively near to this area. I'm really pleased. There's lots of challenges, lots of opportunities. I'm particularly pleased that you're looking at the pedestrian access for people walking in and using the area. And I was always concerned that the pedestrian versus vehicular corridors can be quite dangerous, especially young children. I've seen a couple of near misses, which is not a good situation. And I'm a bit like the Mayor, we'd like to see it opened up so it is a welcoming space for all that use it. It is the most significant green space for that part of Willaston. And so I think getting the topography, the height of buildings, the positioning of buildings is also going to be visually important for the site as well. But it's a great start. Thank you. Any other comments? Councillor Davies.
Yeah, so in terms of, I guess, the scale of, for example, the showers and that sort of thing, is that something that with the increase in the number of, groups and that happening with the AFL and everything now, would increasing the amount of showers and that sort of thing also be beneficial?
Yeah, so it's kind of, the guidelines are based on the level of competition played at the site. So this oval was based on a local level type arrangement. So that's kind of the base level guideline, which is 3 showers that are cubicles and those types of things. But what we do recommend that if it's a really well-used site, or if there's more than one oval, that you double that amount of shower or those change rooms, so that if you're playing A's, B's and C's all concurrently and you've got to have that turnover, that you have your change rooms and your showers as flexible as possible. So that could be in a number of different ways or design elements. So we could do 2 larger ones that could then be split down the middle on those days where you're going to do concurrently, so that turns them into 4 change rooms and those types of things. So there's lots of ways around it, and once we speak to the users and get, I guess, their programming and their usage and their numbers, we'll be able to gauge about how many showers and how many kind of change rooms we think. But I think going off what we do, it probably will be more around those flexible change rooms and being able to go from big to smaller, and that real usage.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you for those comments. the master plan needs to last for at least 20 or 30 years, and I'm certainly looking long term, and how the users see their respective sports growing over time. And I think that it really is important that we actually incorporate long-term thinking, not short-term thinking in this, not just existing users, but how, given Gawler's growth all around the region and surrounding areas, that this is going to be a really go-to site for football, netball, cricket, BMX, scouts, and even service clubs, and even the Williston hub across the road. So I think you know, looking long term is really going to hold us in good stead. I think if we just look at existing users, it's not really going to last much longer. So I pick up on your point, Councillor Davies, that you know, we do need to look long term, and I'm certainly keen to see that when the master plan comes back.
Yeah, so just a comment on that. So we have done that Sandfall infrastructure strategy that was endorsed last year. So that looked at all of AFL level facilities across the state, and we projected all the participation growth and those type of things. And we note that this region is one of those high participation rates that are going to grow. The same with cricket. We've done the cricket infrastructure strategy, and we understand that this is quite a strong turf cricket association. So all of those types of things and those numbers that we've done in previous, I guess, reports and that we have got on hand will be pulled into this, as well as looking at participation and population growth and those types of things. So we don't want to build this and then the next day you're already at capacity. It's really, looking long term, and we can, because we've got those numbers, we can kind of base that out for that growth.
Thank you. Councillor Samble.
Thank you, Chairperson Hennessy. And Amy and Kelly, fantastic. This is great what you put together, but just a couple of questions. To do with the area down around the Scout Hall, and that there's a couple of clubs and groups at the moment that's been getting chucked around all over the place that basically only want to use it as a club rooms and so forth, and there's certainly room down there to do so, because I've been out there with them. I just wondered whether that area down there, and when you look at the maps, there's a lot of area there. When I heard Mayor Karen say about taking the mound away, a little bit of the mound would need to be taken away, but certainly facilities would fit in there. The second question is, when you mentioned about the fact of Black Ops, Apex Club and the Gawler Vintage and Veteran Car Club, that is on land that we do not own, the state government owns. So is that going to be included in this master plan?
Sorry.
Oh, hang on.
That's it. Thank you.
So, yeah, so it's more that the consideration of what's happening in that development will be considered with this master plan. We won't be determining what's happening on that site, though. That's out of our scope. But we're just interested in what's happening because it's a neighbouring site, and how potentially what this master plan may do to help benefit that site, possibly. So, but again, yeah, early days. So I don't know, Bryce, if you've got any more to say on that. Oh, the Scout Hall? I think, yes, I think, you know, one of the questions we have is what is missing on this site, and are there any other opportunities to expand user groups? So yes, I think there's definitely opportunity there to, and as Kel mentioned, we haven't talked to the site users yet, so to be able to talk to Scouts and get their thoughts as well, and if there are any other opportunities for sharing, and always a great thing. So yes, yeah.
Thank you. Bryce. Bear with me, what have I done? That one needs to go off. Thank you, and that one goes on. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, so in regards to the Williston Community Hub, yes, it's adjacent to the site, and yes, it is state government land, but it is something that is a community facility that's being developed in the very near future. The opportunity to have consideration for both developments at the same time, whether that's access, egress, how they both work together, the potential development of that road, if any on-street parking, those sorts of things there. So it's more just having consideration to the two projects concurrently rather than them occurring in isolation and then 6 months, 12 months down the track we go. Would have been good if we'd thought these three things together. So,
Thank you. Does that answer your query, Councillor Samuel? Happy with that?
Yeah, I think it does, but I think what I'm saying is the Apex Club, who are such a value to this community, with what they do, they want it as a club rooms, and they've got another area where they store all their gear, so they don't need anywhere near a large room as the size of the Scout Hall. But the reason that the discussions took place was the Scout Hall was a magnificent building, and it's large and it can be used. It's not used every hour of the day and every day of the week. And I thought of the fact of it being used as a combination, the same with Black Ops. They want a club room to meet. They don't want an auditorium. And so I'd certainly like to see that a lot more thought is taken into that. The Vintage and Veteran Car Club, they now have 1,084 vehicles and 854 members. Now, they will fit comfortably over in the state government's land. They certainly couldn't fit in next to the Scout Hall. But to me, there's a lot of area there that could be used for, even any other clubs that may be considering just wanting a club rooms, because it's a big area. And utilising the Scout Hall, which is a big auditorium, and that there.
Okay, thank you. I think it's Mayor and then Councillor Kosh.
Thank you, Councillor Hennessy. Thank you for the comments. Is there any opportunity to share services like kitchens, like toilets, etc., amongst the user groups? Because I know that's been a bone of contention with some user groups. Has there been any? I know that you're only beginning your journey now, but I'd really like to see people sharing facilities rather than closing them all up and not sharing. So I think the real advantage of this site is the user groups and how they utilise the area, but also share services.
Yeah, so just a comment on that. We'll be putting some guiding principles around the master plan, and I think every master plan we do, one of those guiding principles is around that maximise of use and that flexible and multi-purpose. So we don't want to duplicate resources and things like that and volunteer burden if we don't need to, because obviously if you have four canteens, you've got to staff 4 canteens and those types of things. So we'll be looking at that from an efficient point of view, as well as, if you do go on site and need to use a toilet, where the toilet's opened and those types of things. I got stuck on site, there was no toilet open. So I was there for 2 hours doing a site visit and then quickly ran off. But it's those types of things as part of this that we really start to look at about where those placement of amenities are, excuse me, and where they can be best located so that they can get that maximum most of use.
Thank you. Councillor Kosh.
Couple of things. First one is sharing of facilities. Our kids were involved with the Southern Barossa Scouts, and they actually shared Kernan Outer Park hall. So they didn't have their own hall, they just shared the hall and had a storage shed out the back, and it was fine. So it is a good model to do, just sharing facilities. The second thing I want to say is the native vegetation next to the Scout Hall, I know that the Scouts are actually revegetating that and spend a lot of time putting in understory plants and a whole range of other trees in there. So I would be very concerned if you're going to knock that down to put anything else there. And lastly, Council did put in some submissions for modular change rooms for the 3 clubs. So will you be reviewing that submission to see whether those modular changing rooms are still the best that we could be going for at the moment? Because we actually have put in an application for Gawler Centrals for a modular change room. Is that right? Yep. So I suppose just checking that it's still the best we can go for.
Yeah, I think as part of this process, we'll be doing a bit of a strategic review of all kind of background documents and those types of things. So anything in the local area and those types of plans we'll be reviewing, and we'll be able to provide comment on those, but not having seen them. But I know that modular change rooms are done to SANFL standard or AFL standard because they're a partner. So I would imagine that they'll be fit for purpose, but we can review those as part of it.
Thank you. Mayor, and then I think the Mayor and Councillor Davis, I'm just conscious of time, people, so we might just wind this up soon. Thank you.
Is the oval AFL standard?
Yeah, it is. It's actually like kind of the perfect 135 by 165, which is the maximum standard for an AFL oval. The good thing with this oval, it's needs a 3 metre runoff because it's local, but this actually provides a 5 metre runoff from our measurement. So it can that means it can attract a bit higher level games, and I think you've had them here before. That pre-season type thing with Crows and Port and those types of things, so it can attract that with that larger runoff.
Thank you. Councillor Davies, my apologies.
Yeah, so this is, I guess, more of a general comment about improvements, not necessarily something you can do anything about, but the public transport, I just did a little Google Maps search, to see if I can get there from here. The only public transport suggestion is a 35-minute walk, 2.5 kilometres. There is public transport, but it is only, I think, hourly or something like that, and that's the kind of thing that maybe with the state government we can look at helping its increase in use by making it more available, especially to a lot of the younger people who won't have cars, or whose parents would be quite happy if they didn't have to use a car to get them there.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the questions and your answers. Thank you very much for the presentation. If there are follow-up questions, I would encourage elected members to perhaps direct those to Bryce. Thank you very much, ladies, for your report tonight, and we'll look forward to the next one coming back to us. Right, we now shall move back into meeting procedure. Councillor Hughes?
I'm happy to move the motion 8.1 that receive.
Thank you for your motion, Councillor Hughes, seconded by Councillor Samble. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you very much for that prompt. We shall now resume back and return to Decision Report 7.1, which is on the Councillor Visitor Information Centre. Right. Yes, Councillor Hughes.
Yeah, I'm happy to move this motion and thank the volunteers. I do note the volunteer numbers have dropped, but I think they were more active and enthusiastic, which is really good as well. So, I mean, sometimes there's economies in scales and volunteer numbers, but yeah, the report is really detailed as well. It sort of is quite a huge amount of work that goes on there. There has been a number of visitors. I do think that we do have a lot of opportunities in Gawler. I know B&Bs, the old courthouse, there's some amazing B&Bs and different businesses in Gawler that I just don't think we sort of highlight enough. When you think of the accommodation in Clare or Barossa, we've got some amazing accommodation in Gawler. I just think that we just have to somehow get that destination, Gawler, pushed a lot more. I think that is probably all of our jobs. It's not just the Visitor Information Centre. It's everyone's job to do that. So But yeah, I think there's certainly more work that we can do with the Visitor Information Centre, and I think we need to be more actively involved in working with that, and whether that's a future workshop or something in the next 6 months or 12 months. But yeah, I do think there's a lot more opportunities to promote Gawler and the benefits, and just the huge number of people that are actually using this building we're in today as well, and just promoting the use of this building, I think, is really important. Our business hub and all the other things that you can do in Gawler, it's all part of that.
Yep, thank you. Councillor Koch, do you wish to second the motion?
Yes, I do. And I just wanted to comment and just want to thank the volunteers and what they're doing down at the Visitor Centre, doing a great job. I mean, my only concern was when we look on page 45 or 126 of the attachments, it talks about the sequence that for tourism. It talks about dream, plan, book, experience, advocate. I'm not sure whether people dream too much about coming to Gawler, but we need to make people see Gawler as a destination, not just a wayfinder between here and the Barossa. That was my only comment. That's the only thing I'm concerned about. I know they're doing a wonderful job down there, but we need to make sure that people want to come to Gawler and not go through Gawler. So when we go along that little pathway, they want to come here as a destination. Thank you.
Thank you, yes. Mayor. That's the problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I'd also like to thank the volunteers for their great work in the Visitors Centre. I agree with your comments, Councillor Hughes, and your comments, Councillor Koch. I think Gawler needs to have a higher focus, and there are some wonderful bed and breakfasts across Gawler. There's some incredible tours and I know that the Visitor Information Centre does a number of tours around Gawler, which is, I think, fantastic, and a number of those tours they've come up, they've thought up those tours themselves, which I think is fantastic. I think that, Gawler does need a tourism strategy. We've got the tourism plan. However, I think that, there's always more work that can be done. There's lots of really fantastic businesses here that are now open on weekends. You look at Aesthetic Bliss, they're open Saturdays and Sundays, and they're doing a roaring trade on those days. They recently had a pop-up stall, and they did an exceptional trade during that. So I think there's lots of opportunities. There's lots of accommodation popping up with the Gawler Arms upstairs, which is just a fabulous accommodation suite, with our caravan parks, but also with our bed and breakfast. So I think that there's lots of work that can be achieved. And I don't think it's just the Visitor Information Centre that does it. We all have a responsibility to promote Gawler, and I think that this is a really interesting report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Davies.
Yeah, look, I went and visited today in the Visitor Information Centre, and it was good. Volunteers were helpful. I think I was sort of on the lookout for, is there much in the way of Gawler stuff? I was thinking, are there, because there's plenty of Gawler books and things. There was one launched last night from Martin Johnson. Councillor Hennessy has her own lovely book about E.H. Coombe. I think Brian Tom had previously had some books up at the Visitor Information Centre and that sort of thing. Just some stuff around. I did get for $5 Footprints, which is done in 2007. Got a little foreword from Mayor Brian Samble and everything, and that was interesting. But I was just thinking it would be great if it could be more of a hub for things that make, as everyone's been saying, make Gawler more of a destination or a place that is of interest on its own. Like here's all of Gawler's history. Here's interesting figures from Gawler.
Good. Councillor Samble.
Yes, thank you, Chairperson. Yeah, look, firstly I'd like to say Natasha, the Manager of Recreation and Leisure Services, a fantastic report, there's no doubt about it. It's been highlighted to the max. It's really good. I think what we've all got to be honest about and come out and honestly understand what's going on with the modern technology of these stupid things called phones and everything like that. And because I'm 80 now, I've become a busaholic, and I've just been to Mildura on the weekend, and it cost me $15.80 to go to Mildura on a bus. I had the most brilliant, restful trip because I didn't have to drive and worry about a truck driving over me and everything. And I went to a number of visitor information centres, and when I, as a councillor, as we all should do, when we see what it costs to have the Gawler Visitor Information Centre open, we have to understand that we don't have that money now. We have to do some changes. But we've also got to be very practical because the volunteers do such a great job. I see Angie and Carmel back there. They started when I started at the Visitor Centre many years ago, and so they probably get sick of hearing me talk. But the art gallery, we've just spent $1 million on that Visitor Information Centre with a beautiful lift, beautiful doors. When I went there, was it yesterday or something? But I thought, wow, what a place. This is fantastic. You can't be happier. But the art gallery is only open 4 days of the week. And the complaints that I get is that the Visitor Information Centre is not open when we want it open. At 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm looking to get accommodation and I'm looking to stay somewhere and so forth like that. So they get on the phone and they do it. And I think this is something we've got to look at because the report we've got here with the expenditure to operate that visitor centre and the hours of its opening are something that we do have to look at. We just can't be silly about this if we're going to build beautiful parks and upgrade footy grounds and all these sort of things. But congratulations to the report, and I hope all councillors and those that aren't here take time to read what's been said there because it's been well put together. And again, personally, I thank the operation managers of it, Lynette, and the volunteers, because none of these places can operate without volunteers. And sadly, everywhere I went in the last couple of weeks, they say, have you got any volunteers, please? And, you know, that's a bit of a sad thing. So I'm not sure how we fix that, but congratulations for this report. And it's certainly to be accepted, but I think we've got to look carefully at things from now on if we're going to save money and be productive.
Thank you, and thank you for your comments. I agree with the comments and the congratulations that have been forwarded to the volunteers. And elected members will see from the questions that I asked online. I'd like some information back, please, for when we will have the showers reopened. My understanding that was a facility to attract travellers, both cyclists, the RV people and other people passing through Gawler, and it's having got funding from external to do that. It's I think we need to reinstate that facility, so I'm looking forward to having an update on that sometime in the near future. We have a mover and a seconder, so if that's the end of the discussion, I will put the motion and and it is carried unanimously. Thank you, members. I need to vote as well. It is. Thank you. I'll put my hand up. Thank you for your guidance. Okay, we're now moving on to 7.2, which is the mural project update. Yeah, Mayor, you have a question? Hang on, microphone.
Sorry. In this report, point 2 of the previous motion was council staff continue to investigate partnership opportunities and the development of a mural. I didn't really see much in the way of partnership opportunities, so my question is, where are the partnership opportunities that we hopefully exploring?
Who would like to provide us with an answer? Chair, thank you.
Excellent. Sorry. Thank you. Tech issues. It would be, this is very sort of introductory, just seeing if council has the appetite to further let us explore the wall. Pretty much it's been a little while of chasing people up and seeing if they are interested and getting that response, and then it would be for us to go back and work out the details and see exactly, are they willing to put any money towards it? Are there any groups that would like to sponsor it, that sort of thing. So it would be for us to continue to investigate if council has the appetite to have us follow that path.
Yes.
It says here, approves in principle the preferred site for a further mural to be placed at 99 to 107, which is at the Zambrero wall. So if we approve that, there won't be any other preferred partnership opportunities because we'll just go ahead and do it. So I'm really keen to look at partnership opportunities because these are private walls, and there are issues around using private walls. Certainly some legalistic challenges. So if we approve in principle the preferred site, what happens? Do we get another report? Present a further report regarding the mural. However, will there be opportunities, partnership opportunities included in that report? Because that was what was asked from this report, and there's nothing in there. There's nothing in here that talks about partnership opportunities. So I'm just a bit concerned that we will bypass that and not have those discussions, or if we do have those discussions, it will come back and say, well, they're not interested in providing any money. What do we do then?
Thank you. Mr Barrett?
So through the Chair, certainly the intention would be to come back to Council with the outcomes of those partnership discussions. First of all, relation to the subway wall, which is point one of the motion. And in the event that there is no opportunity with that, we'd be honest about that with Council, and Council would need to make a decision whether to proceed or not, based on the evidence in front of it and the cost in front of it. And in regards to the second point with the Zambrero wall, same process would apply, but that's looking at funding potentially, if we go down that path, for 24-25 financial year as part of the budget bid processes. So part of those processes will be gaining the understanding from that wall owner around contributions and to that mural, proposed mural that is, and then Council would have another decision-making point on whether to proceed or not on that basis as well.
From my point of view, because we're now talking about next year's budget, all of these walls are happening in the CBD area, and I'm wondering if it is time to start thinking about other parts of Gawler, only because I wonder how private landowners might feel about having their buildings considered as well. So. Well, I can understand what the staff are trying to do. I'm just mindful of where we're going to go in the future with this. So I'm interested to see, is there some strategy about where else we would consider? Where do we see the role of council in doing these walls as opposed to other organisations? And we do know that there are some organisations who are doing this off their own back. Taylor and Forgie have done a particularly good mural. So I think it's about part of the partnership is encouraging other businesses to do it as well. Councillor Davies.
Yeah, look, I'll move the motion. Well, firstly, the current mural in the Civic Centre is really good. So that's been really good work, and I think the work's still continuing, but it's looking really good so far. And yeah, I guess share a lot of concerns around just making sure that the partnership is a partnership and not just us doing it for them, but on the understanding that this is going to involve this coming back to us for another decision, I'm happy to move the motion.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? I'm going to need a seconder, please. Okay. I might need some guidance as to what I now do. It's lost for want of a motion, for want of a seconder. Is that okay? I think that's the decision of the group. Councillor Costa, did you have a question or a comment you wanted to make?
Yes, I was. I was going to vote against this, but my comment would be we need to firm up the partnership, the costs, and all the other ongoing issues with depreciation, maintenance, etc., etc. I think it was actually covered in the reports. I think all those things need to be sorted out before we even start thinking about going anywhere, because you can't go and talk to somebody and say, "Oh, how about we put a mural up here," and we haven't sorted all those other issues out. I think it's putting the cart before the horse. So I would have voted anyway against it. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Samble.
Thank you. Again, I would have voted against it too, because you've heard me before say about the fact that when we hold a fantastic event, whether it be the Christmas carols or whatever it may be, how many people attended? I go to a lot of different things when I go away somewhere, and when I walk up, there's these wonderful volunteers there. Could you give me my a postcode, please? And we know where the people come from to come to these events. How many people, if you can, around this table, have said to you, the murals of Brian Tom's Hot Mustang on the wall up there, how many people have told you that that mural looks beautiful? It is fantastic. We do that stuff when we've got plenty of money. And I'm sorry, we don't get a report back where maybe people come into the visitor centre or to the library or whatever it may be and say, "Oh, you've got such a beautiful town here, the heritage walls and all this sort of stuff." They're not saying that now. They're saying, "What in the hell's happening up on Lindock Road? Where's the heritage gone?" I think we've got to be a bit more realistic about the factor of how we spend the money and that sort of thing. And as I see by the report here from Chair, it's a good report and everything, but to me, it's not warranted at this time. But the thing I was fascinated by is watching the person doing the mural in the Civic Centre here. It was great. And he was using a scissor lift, because I've been told that you can't use it to put our banners up and down that cost $2,000.
Okay, Councillor Davies, please.
So a question, does the staff need direction? Because from what I'm hearing, councillors do want the staff to be doing something, which is coming back with another report or something. But, you know, the reason that these motions are here are so that the staff have a direction so they can put their staff time into it. So from the question to the staff, I guess, is to move forward with what the councillors are asking for, is there a motion or anything that we should be moving?
Thank you. CEO, do you wish to reply to that?
Well, firstly, if I could just say that the approach that we've taken is particularly in terms of the Zambrero site, is to get confirmation from the elected members that that's a wall of interest, and based on acknowledging that's a wall of interest through having approached multiple other potential walls and wall owners, through initial conversation it seems that there is an interest with the owners of the building. So before we go into too much negotiation and the partnership model, is council happy with that wall? That was the intent of this report. Then we would trigger those conversations with the owners and the agents, and we'll format the actual model, the partnership model, to then come back. And I certainly would be keen, and I'm sure the staff would be keen to make sure that it's not a free kick for the building owner or the actual tenant in terms of having public funding on a building, and where it's a reasonable model, a partnership, then all the better, and that's what we'd be reporting back to council. So if, as we currently sit, and if the motion is lost for a lack of a seconder, then we don't have any direction. formally, through the conversation, obviously, I'm hearing a preference that, and this may be a motion without notice, that a further report be presented providing the fundamentals of the partnership model relative to one or more sites, something to that effect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the issue is with point 2. It says, approves in principle the preferred site, which is Zambrero's Wall, with remaining funding from this year's budget being used to progress design and public consultation. Allocation of funding to deliver the actual mural works will then be considered as part of Council's 24-25 annual budget process. I'm with Brian. I think that the whole intent of the previous motion was to talk about partnership opportunities. None of that's been addressed. So I think the point 2 is a problem. I don't think anyone has a problem with Zambrero's Wall, but they actually want to know what the leaseholder or the owner or whoever, and I know it's through property management that you have those discussions. However, I think that there is an issue with point 2, which says that we're going to pay for it. That's what this says. It goes as part of Council's 24-25 annual budget process. So that tells me that we're going to pay for it. And so I go back to the original motion that said partnership opportunities, and I think that that's where we probably need to explore a little bit further. So I think it is a motion without notice, and it might need some wordsmithing by, a couple of people.
Okay, Councillor Davies.
So, I'm happy to move a version of this motion where instead of point 2, it basically says reports back on partnership opportunities for the mural on 99 to 107 Murray Street, rather than approving funding, if that's something that would have more support. Because the point of these reports is this could be something that they're willing to do, but they just don't have the connections, or they don't know where to start, and we're able to say, all right, we can help you with artists and things, you do the wall, you maintain the wall, and that's an option. But yeah, I think we'll just get the wording. So reports back to the committee on partnership opportunities for the Zambrero Wall mural. I forget what the street number was. 99 to 107. I'm happy to try to move that as an alternative motion.
Okay, so we have again, we're going to have Councillor Davies move that. How is the feeling of the room for a seconder on that? Or some alternative? Or should we leave it and perhaps at the end of the meeting reconsider this as a motion without notice? Does the chamber want to progress?
If there's added wording, that was just the suggested wording. That was what the mayor suggested.
Councillor Samble?
If I can ask a question, what wall are we talking about? Does everybody in the room know which wall we're talking about? Is it the one that's on, what's it called? The reject shop?
It's the one between the ANZ Bank and Sombreros. It's the one that's facing...
Oh, where you walk up the...
When you walk up. If you're walking north, you would see it on your right-hand side.
Look. I have tried, I reckon, at least 2 or 3 times with the owners, Carl, who owns the outdoor fishing centre, and his parents all own that whole area, right? And said, and because of the people that work there, I don't go for a haircut very often, but the hairdresser and all says to me, Sambo, when are you going to get the owners of this to beautify these 2 beautiful spots where the trees are? Recently, I know this is a bit of a different topic, but have you seen how ugly it looks? Can you imagine that looking beautiful, pretty, as though somebody owns the place? Who's going to see the mural? It's on the other side, you know, walking up. Do something that's actually there in front of people's eyes all the time. And when I said to Carl and his father about it, they said, no, if you think it needs to be done up, council does it. To me, money spent on, no. Well, my wife even said that she'd go down with a couple of girlfriends and plant flowers in there to make it look good, even if it was pig face.
Thank you, Councillor Samuel.
Thank
taking on notice. Okay, I'm a little bit unsure where we feel like we're going here. I think you're happy to second that. Okay, the Mayor. Any further discussion then on this amended motion? Okay, if that's the case, I'm going to put it to the vote. Those for, please. And those against, the motion is lost. Truth. Okay, I'm against, so the motion is lost. You would like to call a division, Councillor Davies? Thank you. Right, those people who are voting for, please stand. Those in favour are Councillor Davies and Mayor Redman. Therefore, those that are against are Councillor Koch, Councillor Hughes, Councillor Samble and myself, Councillor Hennessy. Thank you. The motion is lost. That's right. Listen, can we just keep this? Okay, thank you very much. We are now moving to 7.3, the dual naming of reserves and the pocket park in Julian Terrace. The Mayor is happy to move that. Thank you. Do I have a seconder for the motion? Yes, thank you, yes.
The Remembering Courageous Women, and I cannot say it, I'm sorry, I'll stuff it up. So it's, I don't know how to say it. So Remembering Courageous Women committee to select, what's this committee to select for one of the following three Ghana options? Is there a committee that we have to make up?
We are the committee.
We're the committee selecting it.
Oh, I thought that we had to actually select a subcommittee. No, I didn't understand that. Okay, so that's the Remembering Courageous Women, because that's what the chair of the reconciliation plan and also I think Zonta were happy with both of that. So I think the longer name, Remembering Courageous Women, is what we put in there.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you for that reminder. Councillor Koch, you're happy to second this?
Can I talk?
You certainly may, Mayor. Off you go.
Thank you. I think this is a really, really important way forward. It's the first time that Council has dual-named parks with Ghana language. We've gone through a robust process to understand the naming of these parks. They will be dual names, so we still have Apex Park, we still have Pioneer Park, Clonlea Park, Princes Park, Reed Reserve and Dead Man's Pass. However, we now have Ghana language, and I think it's a really wonderful way forward. Plus, we have a name for our pocket park, Remembering Courageous Women, and I would love to be able to say it. I know that Jack Buckskin has recorded, but I haven't listened to that, so I don't know how to say it, and I don't want to ruin it by not pronouncing it correctly. So I won't be pronouncing it correctly, and I apologise to Aboriginal people that might be listening. But I will get my head around it. These are difficult words to say. However, once you get the hang of it, hopefully I'll be able to say it. So I'm really, really excited about this development. I think this has been a long time coming. It's taken, I think, nearly 2 years to get to this point, and I'm really hopeful that we'll get this over the line. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Kosh is the seconder. Did you want to speak?
Just briefly, I think all the names are fantastic, and the connection between what we're doing there now and the Ghana name are fantastic. And I do like the Remembering Courageous Women as the naming for the pocket park. I mean, I've been to both of the unveiling of the murals, and that's the story that I've heard twice. So I think that's very poignant to have that as the name.
Thank you. Councillor Hughes, did you want to speak?
Yeah, I'm happy with the Remembering Courageous Women, but I also, in Ghana language, the tanti is a really powerful word. So I'm wondering, as a suggestion, whether we can have that as like the short version, or have that in the name some way, like so. So we've got the full Ghana language, Remembering Courageous Women. I won't attempt it. I have had a lot of language training. But truth and respect are really powerful words in Ghana language, and they're words that Ghana actually want non-Ghana people to actually know. And I think it's really important for us that don't speak Ghana regularly to actually have some Ghana words that are simple words for non-Ghana speakers to actually start using. And I think truth, respect, and those sort of Ghana words are ones that different elders have said to me that they really want us to use more.
Okay. Councillor Davis, if you can just wait. Mayor, did you want to vary your motion?
I'm happy to have Remembering Courageous Women / Truth, Tiati. Is it Tiati or is it Tanti? Is it Tanti? And that may be a way of. Some people might call it truth. Some people might call it the longer version. So we could have it / We could have a / Tanti. I'm happy to do that. If given what Councillor Hughes has just said.
Okay. Councillor Davies, I'm going to allow you to have some words, and then I might go back to staff for some feedback on that.
Yeah, look, my concern with this option is that no one's willing to say it or potentially spell it. Is anyone going to use the name of the park, even in our official records? And even if we say it on Facebook, we'll have to explain again what it is. I just, it's. I just sort of think that the truth is a bit. I don't know. Like, I mean, I understand the value in the phrasing, but we also, as a name of a park, if we want anyone to use the name of the park, then it needs to be something that's anyone's able to. If no one's able to say the name of the park, then no one's going to use the name of the park. Is my concern, which is why I sort of had a preference for the first option.
Okay, Councillor Samble, and then I'll get some advice.
Yes, my words too. I'm very disappointed. I've got a lot of admiration for Jack Buckskin, and I thought he would be here tonight to be able to say the words. He says it fluently and all that sort of stuff. Quite surprised, Mayor Karen, that you moved a motion and you don't know, and in the motion you don't know how to say the word. That surprises me a little. That's why I would have liked to had Jack here with us. Where does this motion go from here?
Well, if I can just ask staff, because I'm aware of some information that perhaps hasn't been shared. I understand that a sound recording of all the pronunciations has been made by Jack and will be presented both to us and the community to enable us all to become familiar. Is there somebody who would like to give us some more? David? Chair.
No, Jack was waiting for the committee to choose one, and then he was going to record it. So he hasn't recorded the three options because he was waiting for the committee to choose.
Will he also give us pronunciations on the other parks as well? There'll be because it is important that we all learn to say it. Speaking for myself, I'm a little, while I understand having simple, I think having two names for a park is actually just going to cause confusion, and one of them is not going to be used. And because both Zonta also was unsure, but when Dale came in and made his direction that he thought the longer one was more appropriate, I'm going to tend to say we should stick with the longer one and just learn how to say it. That's, yeah. Right, so where do we want to go, people? Councillor Davies? Sorry.
So, a question, is this going to be a dual-named park?
Yes.
So is this also, like, is this the Zonta Pocket Park, I guess, is what I'm asking?
Well, I think that it will only have one name.
It's what's common at the moment called the Pocket Park, but I think from here on in, once we've passed this motion, it will be known as the Aboriginal word, and the English translation back would be Remembering Courageous Women. I think that's my understanding. Is that yes? I'm getting a yes from staff. Right. Councillor Samble.
I think where else I'm coming from is the fact that we've got Elliot Goodyear Memorial Park. We've got the Eldred Riggs Park. We've got Calbeeba. All of these things with the plans and everything are going through at the moment. The ones A to F, is that what we're referring to now, as well as the Pocket Park?
That's right.
Right, the officer's recommendation here. Yeah. So to me, it's just confusing. We've got half of the councillors away tonight, and if it needs to be, I would like to move that it lays on the table to a following meeting.
Yeah, well, this will be a recommendation of this committee, and it would go to council if there was need for other people to discuss it. I'm a little concerned, given the time that it's taken to get to this point, and working with our Ghana people, that we need to continue to move it. I'm very much aware of. I've had 2 inquiries from members of the public to know where this is up to, so I'm loath to delay it. Mayor, do you want to continue to have the addition? Happy to have that one in there?
I'm happy to have the 3 words. I haven't been told how to say it, so I'm not going to say it until I know how to say it. And hopefully I'll get some training in understanding Ghana language.
Okay, just going to need to get you to use your microphone, sorry. I think we just need, if we can get to... Brian, you need to turn yours off, please.
Awesome.
Thank you.
I'm happy with the 3 words, and I think if we use Remembering Courageous Women as a translation, people will understand it. I think Tanti, I'm not sure how to say that. I'm happy to take that out. I think the fact that the chair of our Reconciliation Action Group liked this. It is understanding how to say and how to get your the pronunciation right. It may even be an option to have that at the Pocket Park. I don't know how we'll do that, but it may be a button press that you understand how you actually pronounce those 3 words. I'm not fluent in Ghana, so I have not received any training, unlike you, David. I don't know how to say. I've never received any training in Ghana language, so that's a gap for me as mayor. No one's ever provided any training to me, so I don't want to upset Ghana people by saying it incorrectly. So I think we'll leave it at the 3 words. I appreciate what you're saying, David. However, yeah, we'll see where this goes.
Okay, I'm going to wind it up there and I'm going to put the motion, people. So could I have an indication, please, of your vote on this motion? So we have...
You have to vote.
I have... There's 4 of us voting for, so the motion is carried. Thank you.
Those against?
Those against, thank you. We have... The motion is carried. Right, thank you very much. 7.4 is a policy review. And we have now moved, thank you, just let me catch my place. We have a number of policies that have been presented to us. Do I have Councillor Hughes? Mayor, can you turn yours off? Thank you.
Yeah, happy to move. Most of them are minor changes, and yeah, there's a couple of technical ones that I think is a really good move to go down. So yeah, happy to support this motion.
I do note that there was a recommendation for staff that the B, hire of council owned facilities, would be as amended. Are you happy for that wording to be added into the motion? Is that correct? That works well. Okay. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Davies, thank you. Do you have any? Would you like to speak to the motion? Nope. Councillor Kosh.
Can someone just go through the national competition policy, the new one?
Oh, thank you.
Was it?
Sorry, please go ahead.
Just the policy on the national competition, because we're getting rid of one and adopting another one. I just wanted someone to go through that for me a little bit.
Can we have staff? David, would you like to speak to that? Thank you. Paul, thank you.
So through the chair, we're not seeking an adoption of a new national competition policy. It's just a revocation of our existing one. The existing national competition policy that council has refers that we will act in accordance with the national competition policy, which is an Australian policy. So we're revoking ours because we actually have in place a policy through Australian government area to deal with national competition, so we don't need one that says to refer to that.
Does that answer your question?
Could you talk about monopolies, how that works again? Yeah, I'm just a bit confused about the issue around monopolies, the council's having a monopolistic position, you know.
So through the chair, in terms of ensuring that council operates in certain areas, we would ensure that if we're operating a commercial business, we're not using ratepayer money to fund that commercial operation, which is a competitive neutrality area. In terms of monopoly, council may have certain areas of service delivery that it is a monopoly because it's the only provider of within the area. But that's not an issue in terms of national competition if there's no other providers in the area. I hope that clarifies.
Okay, so we have a mover and a seconder. If there's no further discussion, I will put that motion. Can I have your indication, please? The motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. Right, moving on, we now hit the information reports. We have dealt, of course, with 8.1. So we will move on to 8.2, which is to do with the Home Assist update. Thank you, Mayor. The Mayor has indicated she is happy to move all the information reports en bloc. Do I have a seconder for that? Councillor Hughes, do you want to speak?
I'd like to make some comments around some of the articles in the information reports. Firstly, the Home Assist. I think it's a really excellent program until we find out what the federal government's doing. will continue to provide this home assist program. I think it is highly valued by our community. The 223 Christmas, I note the merchandising of Remembering Courageous Women mosaic art. Note that. But Christmas in Gawler, I think, is really fantastic. I thought it was called Villawood Gawler Christmas Parade. That's... I didn't realise it was called William Lakes. It's called Villawood on the Facebook page. Anyway, yeah, so I think the Christmas card competition, we usually get hundreds of entries. Santa's Workshop, we get nearly 1,500 families coming to enjoy that Santa's Workshop. It's really successful. The Mayor's Giving Tree, I'd like to see a little bit more promotion of the Mayor's Giving Tree this year. I don't think it's been promoted very well, and I think I'd like to see something that promoted a little bit more, because it's not all about receiving at Christmas. It's actually about giving, and it's actually about sharing and caring, and that's what the Mayor's Giving Tree is all about. So I don't think we give it enough promotion, and I think it's the poor cousin when it comes to Christmas. So I'd really like to see that promoted a little bit more. I think what we do for Christmas is quite outstanding. We do spend quite a bit of money, and I think the number of people have been quite surprised how much money we spend on Christmas. The community garden update, I think, is really fantastic. Well done to the community garden for doing the work that they're doing. And the library update, I think the library is really starting to come alive, and I love their garden down at Evanston Gardens. I think that has been really quite outstanding. I won't talk about the antisocial behaviour at community facilities. I'll leave that for other people to talk about. However, I commend all of these reports.
Thank you. I think I saw Councillor Kosh. Thank you.
Comments. On page 44 of 85, I just want to clarify, we'll be getting a consultant in to look at the home assist. Will we get to a point where it won't be viable for us to actually deliver that if we're competing against private enterprise? Is that where we're looking?
Yeah, David, could you answer, please?
So through the chair, the whole idea behind the consultant is to do that business case analysis to see what the viability is in the future, but we need to understand what the federal government's position is to understand that. It may well be that council may have to withdraw, as it did from disability services when NDIS came about, National Disability Insurance Scheme, sorry, acronym. So we're just working through that process. So there will have to be a decision of council at some point in time based on that business case as to whether it continues or not.
The next one is the community garden. I was down there recently, and they did ask how a sign could be erected on the main road to direct people down to the garden. So I don't know whether that's something I need to follow up through somebody, the process.
Yeah, perhaps we'll just take that on notice and get back.
Fine.
I think that's a very valid thing.
Yep.
Is that the end of your
No,
questions?
the last one is I just want to comment about the antisocial behaviour. I was horrified to read it. Some of it's assault, spitting at somebody is assault. I'm concerned that we've got to have guards down at the rec centre on a Friday night. I didn't realise it was so bad. We need to do something. I just can't believe it. Well, no, I can now, but I didn't realise it was so bad. So that's just my comment.
Thank you. Councillor Hughes, did you have some comments?
Yes, I do. I think the reports are really good. The Home Assist is really, fantastic overview of the future as well. It's always a moving feast, unfortunately. With the last one, 8.7, the antisocial behaviour. It's something in my line of work that we have training every 2 years in conflict resolution and avoidance, and we do 2 or 1 day courses. It's mandatory training for all staff to do, and it does help to de-escalate situations, and for all our compliance officers, wearing body-worn cameras has really made a massive decrease. It really has made a huge improvement in that space. And so, yeah, I think the training programs, I spoke to David Barrett yesterday, and he said that as part of the training each year, the staff do get some training in this area, but I do think that the 1 day, 2 day training for some of the more senior staff or other staff, I think is really should be part of it. But yeah, we do have mandatory units of training in different areas, and that's one that we do. And I mean, we have distress alerts in our offices and that, but I mean, we don't wear them or need to wear them. I think the training really does help a lot and is really beneficial, and yeah, highly recommend the courses that are available. So I do think, I'm happy with the recommendation, but I do think, that whole training and side of things is really important part of, and it's HR side of the business to look at that. And unfortunately, anyone that has a public-facing job deals with the public, and some people are very good at it, and other people shouldn't have those jobs at all as well. So it does take special people sometimes to deal with, and we've employed some amazing staff that are really good at dealing and de-escalating situations and controlling people that are really unruly, but just basically using their hands and saying, David's going to speak now, then you speak, and just having some amazing skills in that area. And these aren't highly paid people, they're just people with good skills with dealing with public, and that can be out of control, and it can be learnt, and it can be really effective, and it does make people safe straight away and de-escalates. So yeah, highly recommend the training and having some people that have these skills to deliver it, and even employing some people in your staff to do that, because that's what we've done over the years and has kept us safe in some really tricky situations. So yeah.
Thank you. Yep, I absolutely concur. De-escalation is certainly a very key factor. Like Councillor Koch, I was concerned at the incidents, but I'd like, I look forward to perhaps some further information about how we're going to deal with it, because a jump from 2 incidents to 17 incidents in 12 months is certainly a red flag in terms of safety. So my comments would be, I look forward with the library report. I'm absolutely impressed with the increase in public programs that are now occurring. I think that's a real benefit. And I look forward to the review as well, because I think at some point we're going to need to look at the opening hours of Everston Gardens with all the development that's happening, the doubling of Hillier Park and all the other developments that's going to happen in our southern region. I think at some point we're going to need to think about opening it more than 15 hours. Home Assist it's a very worthwhile program, but I know from my time that it's very hard to double guess what the government wants to do. So congratulations to the staff that are keeping on top of that. And in terms of Christmas, while I'm really, the report is great, and I do value bringing the community together to celebrate important occasions in our community, I also look forward to the second, as was mentioned in the second part of that recommendation, a report about future carol events. We cannot just keep spending that amount of money. We're going to have to think of what it is we want to do and do well. I think running 6 or 7 events is possibly a little over the top. Maybe it's working in partnerships, as we have with the William Lakes or Villawood Christmas Parade. Maybe that's the way we need to go to reduce the impact on our budget lines. So, good. Councillor Davies, your turn.
Yeah, look, on the incidents, well, I wouldn't say I'm surprised because I've worked in customer service before, but it is disappointing. Look, the CCTV part is still something that I'm iffy on because it just seems like it's mainly used so that police can occasionally look at it and tell us we're not going to do anything about it. And, you know, coupled with, you know, that costing, you know, $100,000 to set up a CCTV and all that, it just, you know, doesn't seem like the optimal way forward. But I don't know, I just feel like the police should be paying for all this if they want it. I had a question around the community garden. After the decision we made last time, has there been further, I guess, sorting out, because they were concerned about what to do about the tree. Has there been further in talking to them about that?
David, have you?
So through the chair, I'm not aware of any further discussions regarding that. I am aware that the Gawler Community Garden will need to lodge a development application for the sheds that they want to build. They have intimated that that development application may still locate it, which requires a removal of the tree. So therefore it'll be a part of the development assessment process as to whether that tree is retained or not. But noting that council as the landowner does not consent to the removal of the tree and they're a tenant of our land, there's an opportunity in that space as well. But I'm not aware of any further at this point in time.
No, thank you. Councillor Samble.
Thank you, Helen. I noticed in the maybe a chair could explain. Like it says here that we deliver books. You know, is that to sort of homes and things like that? And so a staff member's got to drive there and deliver the book and all. How is that covered?
Okay. Chair, I might let you answer this.
Yes, so that's the home visit service, through the chair, sorry. That's the home visit service. So staff select the books based on customer requests and volunteers deliver it in a council vehicle. Every Monday they go out and do deliveries to homes and also nursing homes and residential facilities.
And the customer pays for that?
No, it's free.
It's free.
And it's been going for about 38 years, Brian, and it's part of making sure that regardless of your age and disability, you have access to public library services. It's extremely popular and we're very fortunate. We have a dedicated group of volunteers who do it, who have high empathy with the needs of the people that they're serving. And I know in terms of community interaction and social support, they play a really important role in those people's lives. So well done to staff and volunteers. Right, any other comments? Questions? Yes, you certainly may wrap up, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. I think this has been a really good discussion. There's lots happening in different departments. I'd like to pick up on the antisocial behaviour. I think training is exceptionally important. In my role as a breast cancer nurse practitioner, I've had multiple communication skills workshops, aggression management workshops, and they've changed over the years. We do that every 6 months. I work in a public hospital. I've worked at the Lyell McEwen, I've worked at the Gawler Hospital, and I now work at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, all in public health. And we have many incidences that we de-escalate. Many incidences. We have an aggression management program. We have a Code Black, which I think is really quite useful. We haven't needed to use that Code Black for a long time because we de-escalate. We are quite experienced, and I think that I think we need to further train our staff, and I know that you can develop skills of de-escalation if you get in really, really early, but sometimes our young staff are a little bit hesitant to do that. So I think that we need to support our young staff, particularly at the pool and at the rec centre, to understand why these things are occurring. And I noticed in our reports that further signage would be put up. We now know that 1 in 4 people are almost illiterate. So will signage work? I'm not sure. I'm not sure that people will read it. So I think that, that may need to be reconsidered. So there's lots of work that can be done around, rather than just putting up CCTV. I think the police want CCTV because they can use it. However, it doesn't stop the antisocial behaviour from happening, and it doesn't stop the assaults, it doesn't stop the spitting, it doesn't stop the gang, the gang violence. So I think that there's other ways of managing, de-escalating these incidences. So I'd really like to see some further training and get some people who really know how to manage aggressive incidences and how you de-escalate really, really early, because that's the key to stopping aggressive incidences. So I thought I'd just mention that. That's all I have to say, Chair.
Thank you very much. If that's the end of the discussion, I'm going to put the motion. All those in favour? Thank you, carried unanimously. Okay, now we are up to section 9, items listed for discussion, and there are none. Are there any questions without notice? Councillor Davies.
So, as part of the participatory budgeting project, not the one we approved this year, but the one we approved in 2022, there were lights going up in Apex Park, and I've been contacted by one of the people who organised that and says it's still not there, and according to the last update, it was going to go up in this August. I was just wondering, I don't know if this is a question for Wendy or if anyone here can answer it, but just following up on that.
David?
So through the Chair, I am aware there's been significant supply delays with the lights, but I don't have the details in terms of time frame. We'll take that on notice and Ms Young will provide a response. Yep.
Thank you. Any other questions on notice, Mayor?
The latest participatory budgeting is a project on the corner of Davies Street and Princess Street. I'm just wondering where that's up to, because I haven't heard anything about it.
Okay, David, do you have a response, or should we just take that straight on to notice? We'll take that straight on notice and an answer will be provided. Okay, we're now up to motions without notice. All right, doesn't sound like we have any. Okay, in that case, the time is now 8:56 and I'm going to close the meeting. Thank you very much for your attendance. Right, and the next ordinary meeting, of course, is on the Tuesday, the 14th of November. We will see you there.